Okay, we're back. It's May 3rd, and the middle of the night, of course, because there's no other time to make a video than the other middle of the night. This one is going to be a little bit different. Not really, but kind of. I still need to pick up at 5th grade and continue onward there, but this is yet another jump into a side subject, and this one has to do with a very good friend. A lifelong friend, you might say. Now, let's discuss that for just a moment. What is that? Well, you hear this thing all the time. People will say, well, so-and-so, we're such good friends. We can go years apart and pick up right where we left off. Well, people say that, but it's rarely true. Typically, when you fade away from a friend or have some sort of falling out, it tends to stay forever if it's not somehow remedied. But occasionally there is that very rare person that you truly can pick up. And in this case, I do have that person, and his name is Perry. Now, I have not talked to Perry since, probably 1996 was the last time I had any interaction with him at all. Possibly, and it was brief. And before that, it would have been a couple of times in the early 90s, and prior to that, it would have been everything mostly in the 80s. So that's where our story begins. The 80s. Now, what makes this person, Mr. Perry, this guy that can be my friend 20, 30, 40 years later, whatever it is. I don't count the years. I don't really want to at this point. But there is something there, and I did some thinking about it prior to making this, and I kind of realized what it is. This is a person who has been essentially the same personality, the same character, the same overall being since day one. Of course, he's grown and aged as we all have, and matured or become wiser in certain areas, but that core being has never changed. And that's why we can pick up exactly where we left off. Because I'd like to think the same of myself. But we've all had our ups and downs. And it does affect a person to some degree, but once you get to laughing and goofing off, it's like we're 14 again. So, quick description, and I can tell you, I'll give you a quick description, but I'll tell you real quick. Perry and I faded apart because of different lifestyles and paths and directions in life. Nothing to do with any sort of falling out or issues or anger or drama. Nope. Didn't exist. And to describe him, he was a very ordered, fairly meticulous person that liked things a certain way and was willing to go the extra mile to get them that way. And I have a few stories. Now, these stories are going to be random because they're just, I jotted them down as they came. And I've got a little over an hour to fill, so hopefully I can get a bunch of them in. Now, going back to Perry, he, if I were going to, I guess, make the easiest description, imagine somebody in the military, a soldier, okay? That would be Perry. Now, not when you think of soldier, you think of somebody holding a gun and dressed in green camouflage or khaki uniform, soldier stuff, whatever. And no, that's the wrong picture. He would be in like the cow army, okay? He would be in the hay army. He is the guy that his uniform would be denim, and his gun would be probably a shovel. But this is the guy that would be up at 5 a.m., just like a soldier, doing his duties, defending his place in this world to some degree in any way he saw fit. So when I think of, and everything is ordered, just like the military with Perry. Everything was organized and made sense to him. Even if it didn't make sense to anybody else sometimes, it always made sense to him. Now, I have no early memories of Perry because we went to different schools. And I did not see him physically ever until 6th grade. Although I do have a very foggy memory of doing work on his place, which was his grandfather's place. Oh, I want to say maybe digging ditch or something. I would have been with my dad, who had a backhoe, who was, I seem to remember on the north side of the property digging a ditch or something, or exposing a pipeline to make a repair. I don't remember. And I think maybe I saw Perry at that one time, but we didn't go hang out, or I would have been, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere in there. And I would ride along with my dad on the backhoe. And I seem to remember we were up in there. And we also did a lot of work on adjacent properties. I knew there was a road there, and I knew basically every property there because we had been there at one time or another doing some sort of backhoe work. But I do think that I remember having to go in through a fence with the backhoe into a pasture and doing some sort of work. It was quick. We weren't there very long. But I don't know, maybe Perry remembers the details of that, or maybe I'm just making it up. So anyway, here I am in 6th grade, starting out, and we had the other school only went up to 5th grade. So at 6th grade, we all merged into one school. And my first memory of seeing him was he had the reddish hair, orangish hair, and boots. Man, this guy always wore boots. I swear, he probably would wear boots in PE if somebody had let him. I don't think he did, but I wouldn't put it past him. We were all out there running and doing laps and everything we do, and I bet you Perry'd be in his boots. But I don't remember if he was or not. I'm going to assume not, because the tennis shoes were kind of the rule. But wasn't the loudest guy in the room, that's for sure. Fairly quiet, fairly reserved, kind of kept to himself, kept to whatever circle of friends that he had at that, that he'd brought with him from the other school, that they all came in together. So they were treated as the new kids because the rest of us had been together there all that time, and so we knew all the kids below us in the grades and all the kids above us, and they mixed in just fine. After 6th grade, there was no longer any separation. We were all getting along and doing our thing, and I never really did hang out with him though in middle school. It just really didn't happen. I saw him plenty and everything, and I had my own little friends, and he had his own little friends, and I'm guessing that we probably were just worlds apart. He was very much into the farming scene, you might say, and I certainly was not. I was into anything that was exciting, and I don't know, maybe a little bit on the wrong side. I loved to get into trouble, little trouble. Loved it. And later on in life, Perry would become a great cohort in those pursuits, but At this stage in our lives, I just knew who he was. That's it. And he had kind of had little big ear flipping on going on. He probably was the farmiest farm kid of Farmville at that point. Anyways, so really no memories in middle school, but it changed because in 8th grade I started hanging out with another kid, Rocky. And the thing with Rocky was he was friends with Perry. And so there was this crossover beginning to occur, but it didn't take place until 9th grade. But so in 8th grade, I'm starting to hang out with Rocky more and more. We were both into our styles of music and everything that we were finding and liking and everything. And summer time comes, you do your summertime stuff, blah, blah, blah. But 9th grade comes along, and now we have open campus for lunchtime. Now this basically means a lunchtime bell rings, you get up. If you want to go to the cafeteria and eat, you do. If you want to walk downtown to the store, you do. Now this is a town of 3, 4, 5,000 people. There was only 4 or 5 options, and we certainly weren't the kids that were fed huge amounts of lunch money that could go to one of the delis or something and eat like a full meal every day. So we kind of gravitated to, I don't know, just 2 or 3 places. There was one grocery store. It was Evans, and I don't remember who taught me the trick, but you would go to the deli and you'd get yourself a 50-cent burrito, and then you would get yourself something else from somewhere else in the store, open up your burrito bag, put it in there, and go to the counter and pay 50 cents for everything. And we were kind of doing that, but it was, and when I say we, I mean me and Rocky at that point. I was mostly, there were some other friends that were around that mixed in and out, like Caesar was one of them. And, who else was there really? I can't think of anybody else that was really a regular in that little bunch. Because when you're this age, what's happening is you're finding friends, and you're finding as you grow and develop your own thoughts and tastes and everything else, you start figuring out who you really mesh with and who you really don't. And I'll tell you what, Perry and I did not mesh. We had a problem from day one. Because between us was Rocky. And Rocky was one of the kids from the other school, and the country boy, kind of, but he was also wanting to be the heavy metal Michael Jackson leather coat, satin jacket, wearing one glove, I don't know, kind of guy too. And that was my scene. That's what I was leaning towards, loud music and heavy metal music, and we always talked about having a gang. We're gonna start a gang. Yeah, that's right. In this tiny town, we're gonna have a gang. And Perry was, he was not into that, but because they were friends, the 3 of us would go to lunch together, and I was a jerk. I was a mouthy. And I got mouthy with Perry quite a few times. And man, the thing with Perry was he kept it in. And he didn't really say much. But he turned red. And I mean red. And so you knew you were getting under his skin if you could turn him red. And it kind of became a pastime for me. But it came to the point where they told me, I guess Rocky was going to take his side on this one, that I wasn't welcome to walk with them at lunch anymore. So I said, fine, whatever. Went my own way. Started hanging out with other kids for, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 days. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to hang out with these guys. I want to go back with those guys. So I remember catching them. I followed them. They went from our normal stops to go get food at this store and then to walk over to this store on the other end of town because it was a gas station. And that gas station would sell chew to Perry. And it was always Copenhagen. Copenhagen. Absolutely, Copenhagen. None of that Skull. None of those other brands. Kodiak or something, or Big Red, Big Man, Big League, I don't know, Red Man, not a Big League Chew, that's gum. But Perry liked his chewing tobacco. And they had left that store, and I caught up with them, and Rocky kind of had to play diplomat between the two of us. And I mean, we weren't going to fight or anything. It was just, I was a smart mouth, and I liked seeing Perry turn red, and I needed to get past that if I wanted to be part of the the gang again. And yeah, it was all over in about 3 minutes. I just said, yeah, I won't do it anymore. And he said, okay. And that's that steady Perry personality at work right there. Once you, all right, whatever, we'll just move on. There you go. Even in 9th grade, he was just steady like that. So we, that was our lunchtime routine. Now, some time passed, and we continued to do this lunchtime group, just the three of us, and occasionally this other guy would join in, Ray, but Ray was kind of on again, off again. He was all into his band practice and whatever stuff. I don't know what he was doing, but he really wasn't with us very much that I remember. And it's funny too, that's a side note. You start matching up memories, and just about the time you think you can remember everything, well, here comes somebody with, oh yeah, remember that time? Well, Perry and I just started talking again in 2022, and right off the bat, we both had memories that the other one didn't remember. So I told him I was going to do this because I do this. These videos are made for one reason, and that's to put a little girl to sleep, but at the same time, I think that he might enjoy this. Oh, and incidentally, shout out to Mr. V in Finland. Hello. Get your act together, boy. Haven't seen you in a long time. I know you listen to these. So, now, this difference of lifestyle, it was emerging already, but we never quit being friends. We just kind of go off on our own separate tangents here and there and do our thing. But the friendship was always there, and it was always dependable. So, like when, now there's a movie, Napoleon Dynamite. Everybody's probably seen it at least once. But there's a scene in there where the character, the kid, is doing an FFA field trip or something, and puts on the FFA jacket. Every time I see that, and I've seen that movie a lot because I think it's funny. Every time I see that, I think of Perry, because I joined FFA in 9th grade because I wanted to go to the fair. And if you were in FFA, they took you to the state fair, and you got to spend the day there. I didn't care about the future of farming. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to go to the fair. So I was an FFA member for whatever amount of time my single time dues paid for. But Perry, he was pretty serious about it. He loved it. Oh my gosh, he loved that jacket. That was a prized possession of his. But I didn't. I didn't ever earn a jacket. I don't even know what it took to get a jacket. I have no idea. Maybe you had to do good deeds or something. I don't know. So yes, we were definitely starting to find our own different directions, but they'd always been there, and that's okay. He was really into the welding. I remember when he built his. Well, let's back up a little bit. We'll back up from the welding and go right into the white truck. Now, this is one of the centerpieces of Perry's existence. And I am going to have to pause for just a second and let this silly dog out. So, oh. Shouldn't have brought him in to begin with. I knew I was going to have to do that at some point. Anyways, now the white truck. The white truck was like always there. It was, it's like baseball and hot dogs. Perry and the white truck. I don't know if I ever saw that guy ride as a passenger more than 5 times. He was driving the white truck. Chevy. Early mid-'80s Chevy. I can't remember what year it was, but here's a few things about it. Now, when we took driver's ed class together. And somehow I think Perry and I arranged it, but I don't know if my dad was paying gas money or something too. But whatever the case, every day for driver's ed, and you had to go into school early. The white truck, I could hear it coming down the road, turn onto our gravel road, come and pick me up, and my dad would usually come out and say hi. Hey, Charlie. And I would get in. I believe I sat in the middle. I think Grandpa'd get out and I'd sit in the middle. But the one thing about the truck was, A, it was always clean inside. And B, between those two, they must have wore enough Old Spice or Aqua Velva or whatever aftershave was raging in their house at the time. It was like getting into the cab of a men's perfume factory. But here they were, meticulously shaven and well dressed and everything. Perry always looked like the model, farmer, clean, plenty of denim going around, and all of the above. And I didn't care. I mean, it's just a funny memory. They put on a lot of aftershave, put it that way. Anyway, so now the white truck, like I said, it was a symbol of our freedom that was starting, and it would be the centerpiece of many future fun stories. But we went through driver's ed. Now him and I didn't get to be driving partners for whatever reason, and I don't even know who he drove with. But we got our driver's licenses. And now the gloves were really off for us to have some fun. And so, again, times would come where I would hang out with somebody else, and he would hang out with somebody else, but we always kind of found our way back together. That summer, he would come up. Now, I was really into lifting weights at that point. And I had a weight set, combined weight of all my I think they were plastic covered concrete Sears and Roebuck type stuff. But I had my weight set out. I had it in the house for the longest time, but I didn't have any room for it in my bedroom. So I moved it outside for the summer, and Perry came up and we started weightlifting. And I don't know, I think we would work out for about 8 or 10 minutes and then something better would come up, like, hey, let's go, let's take off. Every night every night that he came up to lift weights, it was almost the same thing every time. Well, let's go. Yeah, let's get out of here. So we never really did any weightlifting. I was basically doing that on my own. But we would take off, and always in the white truck, always him driving. Let's see, the thing with Perry wasn't like the rest of us. He worked. The rest of us were always looking for a good time and a free ride. And so when I say we, I just mean any one of our friends. We never had any money. Perry always had the truck. He always had gas in it, and that's just the way it was. And I don't think anybody was specifically using him or anything of that sort, but it was pretty much a well-known fact that Perry always had a few bucks on him. So we would go, and of course this is on weeknights and during the summertime. So what are you going to do? We hadn't yet really gotten into too much trouble or discovered much, and as much as we sat around and fantasized about drinking beer and being cool, we never really had any. On occasion we might get a little, but there is one funny story about that, actually. I had I don't remember who I was with or what, but there was a place along the river that Perry had actually taken us to, and we didn't know existed. There was this nice little, very private little area, and it was this because you had to cross a hayfield to get to it. And now I don't think he worked there or anything, but he knew about it, and I don't know how. I don't know what the connection was. Maybe he will, but it wasn't a very big hayfield because it was on the river and it was on this little strip of land. And I'm fairly certain he didn't work there, but maybe he knew who owned it or something. But whatever the case, I had been with somebody else, and somehow we had gotten our hands on, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 cans of beer, and we thought we're gonna go down to the river and drink beer, and so we needed a place to hide it. So we went to that place and we stuck it in the river. Now this is a time when all the commercials on TV were showing, from the Colorado Rockies and super cold beer and stuff like that, So it was we had it in our stupid teenage minds that we were going to put this beer in the river, and it was going to be super ice cold, and we were going to go down there like real men and drink beer and fish or whatever we were going to do. And whoever I was with, I think it may have been Ray, but whatever. We stashed it down there in the river, and we left. This river is a small, dammed up, lazy river. This is the summertime, so the temperature of the water is probably at least 75, if not even hotter. And for those of you in Finland, that's Fahrenheit. But anyways, so the water's basically warm. I mean, it's swimming water, but nobody was going to swim in it because the river was kind of filthy. But what a great place to stash some beer and have a cold beer commercial right at our fingertips. We're going to live the dream, baby. So I remember Perry and I went down there, and we hiked out to that place, and we found that beer. And we were going to be big men. And you should have known right off the bat, boys, that the can was hot, or at least warm to the touch. That whatever was inside wasn't going to be very good. But we tried to stomach a little bit of it, and it was horrid and rotten. It was cheap beer to begin with. And so, yeah, our dreams were shattered that day. because there was nothing but hot beer to be found. So we gave up on that. Now, I don't remember if we went back or not, or if Perry was just mad at the fact that our beer sucked. Because now it seems like there was another person there when the next we were walking back to the white truck. And there was a sprinkler line there. And it was one of the motorized ones where it was a motor unit in the middle, probably like a 5-horse gas engine, and aluminum pipe with wheels on it. And this thing was probably a good, I don't know, the sprinkler line itself was probably a good 100 feet long. I'm just guessing there. But what is it? 20-foot pipe, 16-foot pipe. It was probably longer than that even. But anyways, we're walking back to the truck, me and this other person. I think that there was another person. And Perry's walking off to the right. And what are you doing? What? Okay. What are you talking about, Perry? I'm going to show them. What? And he goes over and he's cranking. It's a pull start, and he's cranking on this motor. Boom, boom, boom. Puts it in gear and says, all right, let's go. And there goes the freaking sprinkler line heading off towards the river. I don't know how far it went or anything else, because we just got out of there. That was kind of our way. But we went about our lives then, and Perry and I were still hanging out, of course, as much as possible. And pretty sure it was him that came up with the... No. Ray and I had taken a boat down this canal. It was just a little lazy irrigation canal, probably at its deepest point, 6 feet deep. And ran really slow, and it was a dirty, filthy canal. And I think it just came right out of the river somewhere upstream. But we had taken a rubber raft down it because we had found there was this place called the Experiment Station. And that's what everybody called it. But it's actually Agricultural Research Center or something, I don't know. And it's a government or a college/government funded deal where they come up with different varieties of fruits and such. Apples the size of footballs and stuff like that. So I remember that while Ray and I were tubing that, or in our boat, that is, we knew where we wanted to go, because there was this little, we called it rapids, but it was just like a concrete drop. And so the water actually turned white for, I don't know, 10 feet maybe. So we thought we were going to go, hit these rapids. So we boated all the way from his house to that place. And because the canal ran right above his place. And we found out how stupid it was. And it was really boring. And then we walked back or whatever. But anyway, at one point we spotted there was a little footbridge, which really didn't equate to much more than a board laying across the canal from the canal road. And if you crossed it, you would be on the back side of the experiment station. And either Perry already knew about it and had his eye on it, or somebody else had told him about it. But what was back there was this boneyard, scrapyard of all of the leftover materials that this place used when they fabricated or repaired something, whatever. And he was really, really drawn to that. And that kind of goes back to where I was talking about. I said the word welding earlier. He was always into the welding and the metal fabrication. And So he saw all these raw materials back there, and oh man, he wanted a piece of that. So on one occasion, we went in there, and it was the first time we went in there. Now he remembers me saying one word, but it's not what I said. And I remember even having this discussion with him later on. We're sneaking around in the dark. It's got to be 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, whatever. We're sneaking around back there looking for stuff for Perry to claim as his own. And we came across this row of pipe. I don't remember if it was plastic pipe. I don't remember if it was metal. I really don't know. But Perry was on one end, and I was on the other. And I picked up one end, and I made what I remember was, I remember thinking, I want to make a ghost sound. And I was thinking of Scooby-Doo when they go, ooh, like that. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to make a Scooby-Doo sound. I got to take a drink. Almond milk, good for you, maybe. Anyways, so I pick up the pipe, and I make that noise. Now on the other end of that pipe, what Perry heard was a voice saying, "Boys," and he literally takes off running like a streak. He's gone, and I'm confused, and I don't remember if he said something like they're coming or something like that, or run, or they're gonna get us or something. And we didn't even make it back because I was so confused. You had to drop down this bank. I think you had to crawl under a fence, drop down a bank, and then you were on the other side, on the non-road side of the canal. We would have had to run down to the footbridge. And I don't think we even made it to the footbridge. And I was like, Perry, what is up? And he said, there's somebody up there. I said, that was me. And we sat there and giggled our idiot selves off for quite a while. After, we were giggling like crazy dumbasses. And so we got over that. We went back up there, and the hauling began. I don't remember how many times we hit that place, but it got so thick that right off the bat we had to establish our own stash, a place. So we would drive down, we'd put stuff in the white truck, drive down the railroad tracks a couple miles away, and there was some blackberry bushes, and we were hiding everything behind there. Now I got an entire engine out of there at one point. It was like a 10-horse Kohler 2-cylinder motor. And I took it. I remember I had it in auto shop. I was going to rebuild it. Probably didn't have anything wrong with it, but I was going to rebuild it and sell it. And it sat there on the workbench for several months, and I just gave up on it. I didn't even want to do it anymore. I think the thrill of it was just taking it and lugging out I don't know what something like that weighs, probably 50, 60 pounds. 40 pounds, I don't know. Anyways, I think just taking it, yes, stealing it, was the big thrill for me. But anyways, we had quite a time there. Another time we were walking. Ray and I had been walking around at night, feeling pretty cool because we had come up onto an orchard where there was this really nice small engine that was hooked to a big tube that went into the canal. and we it was obviously for watering the orchard or something, but we were having a good time because we put dirt in the gas tank. So we thought we were pretty cool for that. Went back to Ray's house, went to sleep, all of this stuff, went home. Went out again the next time I stayed at Ray's place. And this is all basically after we have our driver's licenses, so 10th, 11th grade, right in there. And we went on another walk. We went north of Ray's. We crossed the canal and went to the north side, and there were grapes up in there. And we found this bird cage. It was kind of I'd never seen anything like it, but it may have been baited with something. But it was like cyclone fence kind of built out of that wire mesh of some sort. And it was open at the top, and the birds could fly in, and they would fly in to get whatever the bait was or whatever there was luring them in there. But because of the overhang, the opening kind of overhung, they couldn't get out. Kind of like a wasp trap. The yellow ones that you hang up where they can fly in but they can't find their way out. Same principle. So anyways, we found it, and we were letting the birds out. We thought it was funny to let all these, there were, I don't know, 10, 15 birds in there. We're letting them all out. And the next time, we were telling Perry about it, and the next time Perry was over there too at Ray's house, and we were like, well, let's go check that bird cage. And we went over there, and we were gonna let the birds out again, and I think this time we just flipped the whole thing over. Screw it, we're not gonna let them out one by one. Let's just flip the whole cage over. And again, here's Perry wandering off on his own. What are you doing, Perry? What? Always grumbling about something. And there were these noisemakers, and it was basically a cannon, propane-powered cannon. It was a 5-pound bottle of propane and some sort of tube and an igniter, and it'd sound like a gunshot. It was loud. You could hear them all the time in that whole area, but I had never actually seen one or knew what was making the sound. And it wasn't engaged, but I'm pretty sure he turned it on, and I don't know. I think it must have made an electrical arc or something to make the boom, but I don't even know, because next thing I know, he's throwing it in the canal, and there it is, halfway floating down the canal, firing off. And we're giggling, we're so funny, we're so cool, running off. And I mentioned that to him on the phone the other day, and he was like, he remembered the fact that he actually ended up getting a job at that place and working there. And that was he always had to keep that to himself. That was his big shame on the job, was he had been a vandal. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to be bouncing around here. We graduated, and I remember this would have been 1987, early summer. And him and I went to a couple towns over. There was a Payless, and we went there. And we'd gone there quite a bit, but I was looking through music, and there was a cassette there. CDs really hadn't taken hold quite yet, at least not on a common basis, and cassettes were perfectly acceptable. And there was Fraley's Comet. It was the former guitar player of Kiss and had his own band, and I really wanted to get that album, and I imagine cassettes were about $6.99 or $7.99 back then, and Perry said, "Just get it." I said, "What? You mean like steal it?" No, just get it. Just get it. What are you talking about, Perry? Graduation present. He really wanted me to have that, I guess. He saw how bad I wanted it, and so he wanted me to have it. So he bought it for me, and I listened to that tape endlessly. And I still do. What's funny is I don't have that original copy anymore, but I have that album, and I still listen to it, and maybe wouldn't have ever gotten a chance if he hadn't bought it for me that night. During my senior year, see, you got to understand that I was always looking to get out of the house. Any teenager is, but I was always looking to get out of the house, and any reason I could. So in high school, senior year, I had a little girlfriend, and she wanted to go to some winter ball thing. I don't know, even though I guess it was dance or something. I don't know. I didn't care because there was reason to get out of the house. Oh yeah, I'll take you, sure. And got my nice sweater on or something. I don't remember. And I had two things on my mind back then: getting out of the house and trying to do something naughty. And I don't remember why, but I had worked at the grain elevator while I was in. I actually worked there during the week, and we pulled into it, and I don't remember if we were just talking or something. I don't even remember. I don't remember why I was there. Maybe I was. Oh, actually, there was snow on the ground, and I was looking for a good place to spin around because we went up to the school, to the old middle school, and there was a place we could get up onto the lawn, and I had my dad's 1979 Oldsmobile, big car, and I took her up there, and we were spinning cookies and in the snow on the school lawn, and the way that it worked was you had to hit one place, spin around, have some fun, and get out before the cops found you. So we hit the Mormon church, the Catholic church, parking lots. And then I said, and then I thought of that grain elevator had a big area for semis to turn around in. So we'll go down there. And we went down there. Yep, that's exactly what we were doing. And we went down there and we spun around a few times. And I was like, okay, time to go. And I knew there was a road. There was railroad tracks there. It was a spur to load grain onto trucks. So I knew there was a road that crossed it, but I couldn't quite tell where. And I drove that car right across a set of railroad tracks. And it got stuck right on the frame. Instantly going nowhere. So I said, Rhonda, we got to walk. Or at least I do. And we walked all the way downtown, which isn't really that far, but we're dressed up in our winter ball clothes. So it's snowy and slushy and nasty on the streets and everything. We walked down to a store that's open, and I called Perry. Luckily, he was home. Perry, I'm stuck. We're at grain elevator, downtown. Hit them tracks, did you? Yes. All right. I'll be there. So I don't remember if he picked us up at the store or we walked. I think he picked us up at the store. Yep. In the white truck. Always the white truck. And we got in, went over there. Now we're still in high school. He was a wannabe fireman, tow truck, emergency worker, ambulance driver, general all-around helper. That was things that he loved to do on the side. So he had this crazy little light bar set up that he had made, probably not auto shop, but egg shop, whatever, out of probably stolen metal, and had all these lights on it and everything, and red lights, green lights, blue lights. I don't even know what color they were, but I do know that he flipped them all on to pull me across a railroad track that he could have done in complete darkness with nobody ever knowing. No. Perry's got to turn on all of his lights like it's some big official thing. Next thing I know, there's cops there. And they're going, "What are you doing here? What are you doing with those lights? You can't have those color of lights. What are you? You're not in the emergency vehicle and whatever." I'm just like, I just want to get off the tracks. And so he had yanked. I was already off the tracks when the cops got there. I know what I was thinking though. I was thinking, I hope they don't see all those circles in the snow back there, where I was spinning around in my dad's big car. And I don't know. Perry fast talked his way out of it. I think they just basically said knock it off or something, but I really wasn't listening. But nobody got busted or anything. We just kind of went our own separate ways, and it was fun. Another time Perry took me hunting. I think it was ducks. I was never into hunting, but I was into anything that got me out of the house. Fishing, hunting, you name it. I'll go walk people's dogs if it got me out of the house, because my house was very boring. And so we're out hunting. I mean, it's you got to be out there with the sunrise. So we're out there, and I'm bored. I'm freezing. And, this is normal for him. You just go out there and freeze and sit in a blind, and when the ducks fly across, you shoot them. Well, I just wasn't into it. So I don't know if Perry was getting a little fun, or he's sick of me, or he just wanted to entertain me, or what. Next thing I know, I realized that we're sitting on a mound of rock chuck poop. Now, what's a rock chuck? I don't know. People call them different things. We called them rock chucks. Animals that live in the rocks, that live underground, and I don't even know what their official name is. They're not woodchucks. They're not ground squirrels, but maybe they are. I have no idea. Don't care. We called them rock chucks. Rock chuck poop everywhere. Next thing I know, Perry's shoving rock chuck poop up his nose. And they're long. They're like oval. They're like big pills. And he's got one coming out of each nostril like a fang, a poop fang. And he's coming at me like that. And I'm like, knock it off, knock it off, knock it off. It's not funny, Perry. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Yeah, it's funny. No, it's not funny. Oh, no, it is funny. Okay, well, I guess it is. Can we go now? Yeah, let's go hunt somewhere else, he said. All right, so now he remembers it. We went up to these other ponds, and it was now daytime and getting warm and everything. And there were these other set of ponds that were on private property, and you parked on these other set of railroad tracks, and you walked down to them, and you could hunt there. And we did. I don't think I shot anything that day. I don't know if I ever fired my gun. I don't even know if I had a gun. But now he remembers me taking off because somebody mentioned game warden, or saw the game warden, or there was a car that was pulling in, truck, something, may have been the game warden. He remembers me taking off, and he assumes it's because I didn't have a license. And I may or may not have had a hunting license at that point. I do know that the first hunting license I ever got was because of Perry, and I joined the NRA because of Perry. From a referral from him, he got a couple of us to join. He was big on the NRA, and he was big on being licensed and all that. And maybe mine had expired by then or something. I don't know. And like I said, I don't even know if I was even hunting. I guess I probably was. I probably at least had a gun. But anyways, I take off and pick me up over there or something like that, and start walking down the road a different way, like I had nothing to do with hunting. And nothing ever became of that, but I guess the big controversy there is whether or not I was still licensed or not. But I don't know. And now after high school, well, actually at the tail end of high school, I worked at a horse barn, and I had gotten the job because actually it was in the fall of '86 that I started there. That's right. And I had taken a class my senior year where we had to get a job. And that was the first job that I got. And the teacher would help us get the jobs. And he found me that one. So I would go there. And shovel horse stalls. These stalls were probably, I don't know, 8 foot wide, 10 foot deep, something like that, 12 feet deep. And my job was to shovel all the poop and straw and pee out of it for the week. And she paid me $1 a stall. And it was the hard, stinky work. Oh man, it stunk in there. Because that horse pee, it basically turns into ammonia after a certain amount of time. And it just is hard to stomach. And I think I lasted there maybe, I don't know, couple 2-3 months maybe. And he found me, my teacher, I was telling my teacher it sucked and everything, and he found me another job. So I knew she needed the help though. And I remember telling Perry he needed to go down there, and I think I even took him down there and introduced him and said, Perry is willing to take over for me here. Now he managed to turn it into kind of a full-time job. She wouldn't even let me run the Bobcat loader. She'd just hand me the shovel and say, get to work. But I remember swinging in there later on that year. Perry's out there basically running the place. That's just the way he was. Took right over and had it all cleaned up and everything. Doing way more work than I was ever allowed to. But her name was Gladys, but somebody once referred to her as Gladass. And we thought that was hilarious. It's not Gladys, it's Gladass. And so we spent the next 6 months giggling every time we heard her name, Gladass. It was funny. Going back to the white truck, we were always eating lunch and parking out in this one parking lot that was outside the auto shop. That's where you kind of parked if you were part of that scene, I guess. And usually, somebody would pull in with their hot 80s car and do burnouts or something. And Perry had that truck. And by this time, he had his light bar and his big brush guard on the front, and probably had already built his grill from stolen metal. I don't know. But everybody was saying, "It's your turn, Perry. It's your turn. Burn them off." He's, this truck won't burn. This truck doesn't burn them off. Yeah, it'll do it. He goes, "Oh, no, it'll do it in reverse. That's it. We'll do it in reverse then, Perry." So, and this is a time, too, when nobody wore seatbelts. They were not the law. Nobody anywhere wears a seatbelt except Perry. He always had his freaking seatbelt on. Even sitting in the parking lot, eating lunch, he had his seatbelt on. Just in case the world was going to end or something and he had to rush out of there 80 miles an hour. He was clicked and ready to go, man. And I remember him sitting there, puts it in reverse, he's got his seatbelt on, just punches that old white truck and just smokes the tires backwards in that thing for I don't know how far, but oh man, it was just entertaining to see him, because I remember thinking, it's funny to see the reserved person that he is let loose like that. But it was so matter of fact about it. He's more, well, see, I told you it does it. Only in reverse. Okay. Are you saying you didn't have fun doing that? But I don't know if he looked at it as fun or not. But he just whip out and do something like that. There, okay, cool, buddy. Now this time has flown and I've really got more to say here, but I'm going to go through this as quick as I can. One more good story. This is probably the best one. This is the one I didn't tell him about on the phone the other day, because I really love telling this story. It was after we'd graduated in the fall. Perry and Richard and I were hanging out, and it was fall and winter time, and we discovered this set of hills that was basically just farming to the north of our town. I mean, we'd been up there before. I mean, everybody knew about it. It was no big deal, but we discovered it, meaning we found things to do up there, fun things. And Richard had a little yellowish gold, kind of mustard colored, like brown mustard colored Datsun pickup, and he would pick us up. Yeah, he was the driver, and Perry and I would sit in the back, and we all had shotguns. And we would go up there during the daytime. And occasionally you'd see a coyote or something, or birds. And I remember Richard would be driving, and he'd have his gun hanging out the door of his truck, aiming as he's driving. And we'd run into these swarms of birds, and we'd fire into them. And I don't think we ever really hit any, but I was like, "What kind of bird is that?" And Perry's answer was always the same. It didn't matter what kind of bird it was. It's always the same. That's a Tweety bird. What? Tweety bird. Okay. Oh, look over there. What are those? Tweety birds. Okay, more Tweety birds. So we're shooting Tweety birds everywhere. And I remember we did run across a coyote running across this plowed field because everything up there is wheat. And we were just kept shooting and hitting the dirt. Nobody could hit it because it was too far away, but we could make lots of dust around it. So we thought that was cool. But we got it in our heads to go up there at night. Now this is where the story is. Just in case there was a deer or something up there. Or maybe there were packs of coyotes. Maybe we were doing the world a favor. I don't know. Let's go up there at night. So same old arrangement. Richard's driving. Perry and I are in the back. And you'd basically, I don't know if we even had a spotlight, maybe a flashlight or something. I don't know. We'd be shining it around on these dark, desolate roads as we drive, looking for a set of eyeballs. You're always looking for a set of eyeballs, reflective eyes. And 2 or 3 times we thought we saw something and chased it and didn't get anything. And we, let's keep looking. So one of us spotted a set of eyeballs. So Richard slams it in reverse, and we turn down this side road. And there's not more. Now there's one set of eyeballs, and there's another one, and then another one. And we're thinking, okay, we've really hit pay dirt here. And we're cruising down this gravel road, and we come to this place, and the eyeballs just stop. I mean, they're there. And and then off to the left, we saw some old shed or something. We didn't really have any idea what it was, but we were way focused on these eyeballs. And we start shooting. And next thing we know, all these lights come on. We are literally in the grass, in this farmer's house, in his yard, shooting at his dogs. And we had no idea we were doing that until all of these lights came on. I don't know if we hit one of the dogs or not. I'm guessing we probably did. But, oh my God. I remember we laid down in the bed of that truck, and he got us out of there so fast. We're in the guy's yard. And we're probably 30 seconds away from somebody coming out of that house with their own shotguns. And we got out of there so fast, and we never went up there again. No, that was right there. That pretty much capped it off for us to drive into somebody's place and put their dogs down. So we've got a few more minutes here. Let's see what else we got. Let's not forget the glass pack on the white truck. Perry was quite proud of that. Took a perfectly stock, good exhaust system and hacked it off and welded a glass pack on so that it was louder. It really wasn't that loud until he downshifted. That was a 4-speed truck. Well, yeah, according to Perry, it wasn't a 4-speed. It was 3-speed with a granny. Okay. So he'd come over to pick me up or whatever, and I knew, God, it was so easy to hear him coming because it had such a distinct sound. He'd downshift to turn onto my road, drop from third to second, and that thing would sputter and puke, and it was so loud, and I knew it was him. So he'd come down, and it would be right around dark. It really didn't matter what time of year it was. It seemed like we always got together right around dark. I guess that's when the fun began. And I remember we were out front giggling about something, and my dad come out and, "What are you guys laughing about?" And my dad was kind of an intimidating guy, and I was always a little bit on edge around him because I he didn't hold back when it came to when you're in trouble, you're in trouble. That's it. And I remember he said, "What are you boys up to? You out monkey fucking around again?" And me and Perry, at that point, we were no longer afraid because what he had just said was so funny to us. We started giggling and laughing and bent over giggling like a couple of girls. And what's so funny, kind of a thing. And we said, no, we're just out. We don't know what we're doing. We're just out hanging around. Okay. Another time he came out to talk to us. I think he liked talking to Perry, especially because he knew his grandpa, and they went back a ways and everything and whatever. But probably one of the few friends I had that my dad would have considered to be okay. He didn't like any of my other friends, really. But one time word must have got out that Perry wasn't supposed to be chewing or something, because I remember my dad would check on him even. Now, I don't know if it was my dad's own personal values or beliefs or whatever that meant, or if Perry's grandpa had gotten a hold of him and said, make sure that boy ain't chewing that tobacco. I don't know. But he'd always ask, and he'd always ask him in the same way. I remember the phrase, "Perry, yeah, you got a lip full of goo?" "No." And you can see every time, you can see Perry was constantly chewing. I mean, I don't think he probably chewed in his sleep for all I know. But nope, no sir, nope. Okay. So we went through our other adventures, and we'd always go out looking for something. We liked taking stuff. It's funny because I brought it up the other day on the phone about finding the hand truck in the middle of the road. What a find. I didn't even see it. He spotted it. He was driving, of course. He spots it, pulls over, and there's this nice hand truck in the middle of the road. This is coming from the 80s when everything was built right. So there's no possible way it was some Harbor Freight piece of junk. And he was pretty excited over that. Throws it in the back and we keep going. And, he was proud of that. And it's funny, because like I said, I brought it up the other day, and he still has it to this day. I mean, that would have been 86, 85, 87. Anyone pick a year. I don't know what year that was that we found that thing. Or he found it, basically. I didn't. But he showed up one time. He remembers it better than I do, but it was the blinking light, like off a road detour or something, where they have it's a yellow on the bottom with a big orange light, and the yellow part is a case for a big battery. And I don't know if he had found one or several or ever. I just remember that there was trouble because of it. But I'm sure he probably still has the light, knowing Perry. But no, that was good. And now again, after graduation, we were slowly drifting our separate ways again. And once more, it was nothing bad. It was always just different interests, different people, different directions, and it happens, and that's okay. But one of the last memories I have of him during that time frame, it was after we graduated, and friends had a store. John and John's family had a store out in the middle of nowhere, and I try to avoid saying names of people's last names or towns or anything. There's no point. But anyways, it was kind of they had just bought it recently, and they were renovating it. And but it was a hangout place, and we were meeting up there once in a while, and Perry, I don't know at what point, but there's two weapons at Perry that I remember him carrying. And I'm pretty sure it was him that behind the seat, because it was the first time I'd ever heard the word, and it confused me when I heard it. Behind the seat, he kept what he called his billy club. Billy club. That's my billy club. Need that. Always prepared. A soldier, remember, like I said, cow soldier. Got his billy club. But no big deal. But he also had a cattle prod. And I remember that thing. It was long and it was white. And we were absolutely terrified of getting hit with that thing. And he would chase us around. Literally around that store. And we would be yelling, "You better not, Perry, you better not." And he never did. He never zapped a single one of us. And I don't even know how powerful it was or anything. To me, it was scary looking. And he just thought it was hilarious to chase us around a store with a cattle prod. And he did. Now, that was when he still was running the white truck. Now, there was a point sometime where he bought an old Jeep. Don't remember where he found it or anything, but he put some time into it. Now, I remember always thinking that Jeep was kind of a joke. And here's why. Because it had a 4-cylinder motor in it. Now, you're talking about in the 80s when everything was V8 muscle car, old muscle car, V8 pickup. You don't drive 4-cylinder anything. 4-cylinders were for Japanese cars only. But he had, I don't know if he rebuilt that engine or not. It seems like maybe he did, but he put a lot of work into it either way. Bought some really nice tires and wheels for it, painted it. It was a nice it was a good looking little Jeep. Didn't have a roll bar. I didn't like that either. Jeep's supposed to have a roll bar and a V8 under the hood and side pipes. That's how a Jeep looked in the 80s. That's a Jeep. Perry's Jeep was more modest But one thing we didn't understand back then either as teenagers was the gearing. You didn't need more than a 4-cylinder for that Jeep. It took care of itself just fine. And he'd come pick me up, of course, and we'd go down to the river, of course. That was one of our go-to spots in life, was hit the river. We couldn't go up on the hill anymore, probably. We want to shoot somebody's dog again. But we went down there, and there was mud down at the bottom of this. You had to go down this ramp, this road, like a farm road kind of a deal, to get down to the river. And that road is gone now. That really stinks because somebody took it out of there. I guess they didn't want anybody down there fishing anymore. But at the bottom of the road, certain times of the year, there was a swamp, and it really, really wasn't that bad. But if you went through it enough times and started tearing it up, it got pretty gooey in there. And we were down there with the Jeep, just looking around, driving around. We went through the swamp a few times, and it was no big deal. And we were there was really nothing to do down there. We weren't fishing that day. We were just out playing with this Jeep. But I remember there was some guys there in a pickup, and they were fishing, and they had wrapped it up and were calling it quits, and they went to go up that hill and got stuck in that swamp. And oh man, to Perry, that was just like the perfect place to be. Couldn't have asked for a better situation because he was going to pull somebody out. And so he drove and I don't know, I think they were like an old Ford pickup or something. And he pulled around him, got in front of him, got out all of his special ropes and cables and whatever he kept, I don't know. But he had it all. He always had money, and he always had the best equipment. So whatever it was that he was going to pull them out with, he had the best. So he hooks up to him. And I think I was standing off to the side, although I may have been in the Jeep. But I think I was standing off to the side watching. Anyways, he starts pulling them out. Or starts pulling on them. Now that Jeep, it started to spin. And Perry kind of panicked. And I remember asking him later about what happened, but he wasn't used to seeing the thing start spinning like that, like he was going to get stuck too. Well, his panic equated to flooring it. and he just hammered that little Jeep in those low gears and four-wheel drive, and that thing started throwing mud everywhere, and its little engine screaming. It was nowhere near stuck, but it had just started slipping a little bit. Yanked that truck out of that mud hole so fast, I don't even know if the guy behind the wheel could keep up, because, I mean, he just came tearing out of there. And I was like, Perry, why'd you do that? He goes, it started spinning. I got a little scared. I thought I was going to get stuck. He said something like that. Something along those lines. But I remember looking back at these massive ruts he had made, because when he floored it, it did start spinning, but it had good tires on it too. And not only was it spinning, but it was pulling, and it was pulling an entire pickup with it. No problemo. Just yanked it right out of there, left a big old set of ruts, and I'm, as always, giggling because I just think it's just funny. Just always funny. Everything turned out funny to us, it seemed, in one respect or another. And that's probably why we can revisit our friendship so many years later and just be able to just pick up like we left off. Because it was always fun. It was always light. It was always... we didn't sit around and have big emotional talks. I mean, I told Perry on the phone the other day, I think he's only got one emotion, and it's anger. But we didn't, because Perry's answer to everything is, I'll shoot that son of a bitch. I'll just shoot him. It was always one of his famous sayings. He'll shoot that cat, he'll shoot that dog, he'll shoot that person. It don't matter. I'll just shoot him. All right, Perry. He's going to shoot everybody, shoot everything, but... No, it seemed like every time, and I do have a few more stories, but I got to wrap this one up and get back to bed. It's 2 a.m. almost. But I really wanted to get this one done so I could get it out. The girls deserve another video, and Perry definitely deserves to hear this one. So I've got to do some editing and some video rendering. Oh, just so you know, the video I just put a generic game. I play a few games, and I record my gameplay, and I just set it as a background since YouTube is videos, just so there's something to go visually along with the voiceover. So I'll have to compile this stuff tonight or tomorrow and get it all put together and published out there on YouTube, and send everybody a link and enjoy. But anyways, I can't stress enough that it's very nice to have found him again. Took us a long time. Took us 20 plus years. But it's there. It's cool. So we've got big plans for the future, and I am going to call this one quits. So I am signing off. See you next time. You better all be asleep by now.